If you're over 60, you've probably heard the same advice for years. Walk more. Count your steps and go for daily walks to lose belly fat and stay healthy. And walking absolutely has value. It supports the heart, improves circulation, and helps maintain general mobility. For many people, it is the first and most accessible form of movement, yet surgeons and physicians who work with older adults notice something important. Many seniors walk regularly, sometimes every single day, and still struggle with stubborn belly fat, weaker legs, and declining strength. Others want to walk more, but simply cannot do it consistently because of knee pain, hip arthritis, back problems, balance issues, or fear of falling. The issue is not motivation, and it is not a lack of effort. It is that, after 60, the body responds differently to exercise than it did earlier in life. Belly fat in later years is not just about calories in and calories out. It is closely tied to muscle loss, changes in metabolism, and reduced activation of large muscle groups in the legs and hips. After midlife, muscle mass naturally declines every year. This process, known as sarcopenia, affects the legs and hips more than any other area of the body. As muscle tissue shrinks, resting metabolic rate falls, and the body becomes more efficient at conserving energy rather than burning it. At the same time, hormonal and neurological changes alter how muscles are recruited. Fewer motor units are activated with everyday movement, and muscle fibers fatigue more quickly. This means that even if you stay active, the stimulus may no longer be strong enough to maintain muscle function. This combination explains why belly fat becomes so resistant later in life. It is not simply a surface problem. It reflects deeper metabolic and neuromuscular changes. This is why a single, well-designed, surgeon-approved chair exercise can outperform walking for belly fat in many seniors, not because sitting is somehow superior to standing, but because resistance-based muscle activation targets the biological mechanisms that actually drive belly fat accumulation after 60. Walking is primarily an endurance activity. It raises heart rate and increases energy expenditure while you are moving. For most older adults, brisk walking reaches a moderate intensity of about 3 to 4 metabolic equivalents. That level of effort is excellent for cardiovascular health, but endurance exercise alone has limited ability to rebuild muscle mass or improve neuromuscular activation in older bodies. Resistance exercise works through a different pathway. When muscles contract against resistance, they send powerful signals to the body. They stimulate muscle protein synthesis. They improve glucose uptake. They enhance insulin sensitivity. And over time, they increase resting energy expenditure. These effects are particularly important after 60 point, when the body becomes more efficient at storing fat and less responsive to low-intensity movement. This difference is clearly reflected in research comparing walking-only programs with resistance-based programs. In older adults, walking improves endurance and cardiovascular markers. Resistance training improves muscle mass, strength, and body composition more reliably. When the goal is reducing belly fat, preserving muscle is not optional. It is essential. Visceral abdominal fat is strongly influenced by muscle activity, especially in the legs, hips, and trunk. These muscles act as major metabolic regulators. When they are underused, fat storage signals dominate. This is why combined programs that include resistance training consistently outperform walking alone for reducing waist circumference and improving metabolic health in seniors. The position of the exercise is secondary. What matters is whether the muscles are challenged in a controlled, repeatable way. For many older adults, standing resistance exercises feel unsafe or intimidating. Balance may be unreliable. Joint pain may limit range of motion. Fear of falling becomes a constant background concern. Chair-based resistance exercises solve many of these problems at once. Seated exercises remove impact. They reduce balance demands. They allow precise, controlled activation of the quadriceps, hip flexors, glute stabilizers, and deep abdominal muscles. These are the exact muscle groups that decline fastest with age. They are also the muscles most responsible for maintaining functional strength, posture, and metabolic activity. This is why surgeons and rehabilitation specialists often recommend chair-based resistance movements in recovery programs. They are used after joint surgery, during rehabilitation, and in frailty prevention, not because they are easy, but because they allow safe overload without unnecessary risk. When designed correctly, a single seated exercise can combine leg extension, hip engagement, and active core stabilization in one movement. This creates continuous muscle tension and coordinated activation across the lower body and trunk. The nervous system is forced to participate. Muscles are not just moving, they're stabilizing, coordinating, and resisting. This creates a metabolic and neuromuscular stimulus that walking alone often fails to generate in older adults. It is also important to understand why this can feel better for belly fat, even if the exercise looks simple. Walking burns calories, mainly while you do it. Resistance-based muscle work creates after effects. The body uses energy to repair and adapt. Muscle tissue becomes more metabolically active, and daily function improves, which often leads to more overall movement without trying. Another practical point is stability. Many seniors compensate while walking. They shorten their stride, they avoid pushing through the hips, they move cautiously to protect joints. That cautious pattern is understandable, but it reduces muscle recruitment in the exact areas that need it most. A well-chosen chair exercise removes that compensation and allows focused work without impact. It is important to clarify a common misconception. No exercise can burn fat from one specific area of the body. Local fat loss is a myth. What exercise can do is influence the systems that determine where fat is stored and how readily it is mobilized. Resistance-based muscle activation improves insulin sensitivity and glucose handling. It reduces inflammatory signaling associated with visceral fat. It shifts the body toward using muscle tissue as an active metabolic organ rather than allowing it to atrophy. This is why many seniors notice changes in waist size, posture, and body shape after introducing resistance exercises. Even if the number on the scale changes little, the scale may stay similar, but body composition improves. Walking still plays an important role. It supports heart health, endurance, and general mobility. It should not be dismissed or abandoned. But for many seniors, walking alone is not enough to counteract muscle loss and abdominal fat accumulation in those situations. A single, well-chosen chair exercise can be more effective for body composition because it addresses the underlying physiology directly. Another critical factor is consistency. An exercise only works if it is done regularly. Many walking programs fail, not because walking is ineffective, but because pain, weather, fatigue, or fear interrupt consistency. Chair-based exercises can be done indoors in any season without special equipment. They can be performed daily, even on days when energy is low. This consistency matters more than intensity for for long-term change. And when seniors feel stronger, they tend to do more. They stand up more confidently. They take stairs more often. They walk with better posture. They move through the day with less hesitation. Those small changes add up to meaningful improvements in energy balance over time. This is why surgeons approve this approach, not because it is dramatic or trendy, but because it fits the realities of aging bodies and real lives. Belly fat after 60 is not a personal failure. It is a biological signal that the body needs a different kind of stimulus. The solution is not extreme cardio or chasing step counts at all costs. The solution is reactivating the muscles that regulate metabolism in a way that is safe, sustainable, and effective. For many seniors, that process starts in a chair. Walking still has its place. But when the goal is improving body composition, preserving strength, and reducing belly fat, resistance-based movement often delivers more reliable results. Sometimes the most effective step forward does not begin with more steps at all. It begins with choosing the right movement for the body you have today.